Hello everyone, I am the Canadian Gaming Penguin. The Rising Memories of Yesteryear Brought to Life event has begun in Final Fantasy XIV. The event started today, August 27th, 2020, and will continue on until September 14th, 2020. The Rising event is an annual event that celebrates the anniversary of the game's relaunch as A Realm Reborn. I personally like this event because it also gives me a bit of the history of the game both in real life and in the game itself, and this year's event is no exception. The event begins by speaking to this guy here, Tia, whose name I probably butchered. If you can even see him through the crowd. If you can't and you're on PC, if you hold the X key by default, it will hide the other player names, etc., which is what I'm doing currently. If you're on PS4, unfortunately I don't know of a way of how to do this, so if you do know of a way to do this, please leave a comment down below. In order to start this quest, you are required to be level 15, and as you can see, if I pull up the map here, we are nearby the Aetheryte in Ul'dah. As you may have noticed, especially if I stop talking, you'll hear a haunting song in the background. There's a history behind the song for the game itself, but I won't get into that right now. If you are curious, I will leave a few links down below, and I will explain what each of the links are in the description below. Now, to actually start the event. Speaking with him was the first quest of Art of Glass. The centerpiece of this year's Rising festivities is a work of art courtesy of Tia, who hopes to foster goodwill among the citizens of Ul'dah. Hello there. Would I be correct in assuming you've come to view my exhibition? You may be assuming correctly. You see, I'm an artist by trade, and my chosen medium is stained glass. While it's not the easiest thing to work with, the results are worth the considerable effort required. It's taken me a while to reach this point in my career, and this is actually my first public showing. I was wondering, if it's not too much of a bother, if I might give you a brief explanation of the subject matter. Ahem. Then pray, my good lady, cast your eyes at yonder pane. 'Twas the final days before the fall of Dalamud, its inexorable approach foretelling our impending doom. Panic spread like wildfire. While many in their desperation turned on the Sultanate, looting and rioting broke out across Ul'dah. To quell the masses, Her Royal Majesty Nanamo Ul'Namo took to the streets with a guard consisting of only 7 subjects, for they alone had the courage to stand with their Sultana. There she addressed the rabble. Heed me, my beloved citizens. The realm lies upon the brink of the 7th Umbral Era, yet so long as we live we must not forget our compassion. Now is not the time to take from your neighbor, but to proffer him the hand of succor. She was determined not to let the city that the immortal flames were risking their lives to defend tear itself apart in their absence. Her words brought the people to their senses. They laid down their arms and set about healing the wounds they themselves had inflicted on Ul'dah. Thanks to Her Majesty's impassioned speech, those who returned from the battlefield found their home much as they had left it, a gleaming jewel in the desert. It all seems so long ago. To see the place today, you'd think that the people had entirely forgotten her words that day. The same hands that were once proffered in succor now grasped greedily at every glassed coin, even if it means one fellow man must go hungry. It's time like these that we must remind ourselves of the sacrifices of those who came before us, which is why the Rising Festival is of such profound importance. I draw inspiration from Her Majesty's deeds all those years ago, and through my work, perhaps others might do the same. Dear me, I'd better stop before I'm overcome with emotion. There are, in fact, matters to which I must yet attend, and if I'm not mistaken, you are an adventurer, yes? I have something you might be able to help me with, if you're willing. In addition to having my stained glass on display, it's been arranged that a wandering minstrel give a recital as part of the festivities. I'm looking to gather as many spectators as possible, but I fear I'll struggle to cover the necessary ground by myself. Perhaps you could give me a hand. Leave it to me. 12 bless you, madame. I plan to hand out these flyers, and with 2 of us, we'll be able to reach twice the number of people in the same span of time. That's usually how it works, assuming there's people to give it to. If you'd be so kind as to look for potential attendees around the steps of Thal, I'll head for the Sapphire Avenue Exchange. Let's meet there when you're done. As I stammered through that. And so we need to head, well, you can kind of go whichever direction you want to go. You could go this way first or this way, but I'm going this way. And as you can see, there's a location here, here, and here. And then we'll be meeting back up over there. So I kind of did this way for a circle. And you can see him right here. I've still got 1 or 2 more flyers left, and so have you by the looks of it. Let's reconvene once they've all been distributed. Eminently approachable citizen. May I help you? Rising Festival Flyer. Considering that it is designed to advertise an art exhibition, this flyer strangely does not include any illustrations. Perhaps friend Tia was unwilling to compromise his artistic vision by working with such humdrum materials as paper. I find that lore very amusing. Stained glass, depicting the Sultana herself no less. I've always been a loyal supporter of hers. It would remiss of me to pass up such an opportunity. I shall be sure to attend. And onwards to the next location. And we can see a noticeably dusty citizen. Got something you want digging up? Nope, just handing you a flyer. Can't say I'm much of an expert when it comes to music and fine art, but it ain't often a bloke like me gets a chance to sample the high life. I'd be a fool to miss it. And onwards to the 3rd location. Which is also happens to be one of my favorite locations in Ul'dah itself because of the fountain. And you'll also hear the haunting song in here as well. Anyway, obviously a fluent citizen. Yes? Here's a flyer for you, sir. That does sound rather intriguing. If it's the same minstrel my associates have mentioned on occasion, I had best go and see what all the fuss is about. I hear he's rather talented. I can attest to that. And with that, now we need to head back and speak with Jaban Tia. I might just call him JT, because that's all I got. Jaban Tia. All done. Much appreciated. But I'm afraid I've run into a bit of a problem. I was in the process of handing a flyer to this gentleman when my friend Aston showed up out of the blue. As chance would have it, these 2 chaps were previously acquainted, though they do not appear to be on particularly good terms. And I forgot to talk to them before I talked to him. Oh well. But how am I supposed to pay you back if the amount keeps going up? If you'd coughed up the money on the day we'd originally agreed, there wouldn't be so much interest to pay. You've only got yourself to blame. But Aston, if your interest rates weren't so high, perhaps he'd have been able to pay you back by now. I'm not saying you should wipe the slate clean, but surely you can come to a compromise. All I want is for him to honor our agreement. What's wrong with that? Besides, I've held up my side of the bargain, so why do I have to be the one to compromise? But let's say I give you the benefit of the doubt, that you genuinely lack the means to pay me back. I'll grant you 1 week's extension, but if you still don't have the money by then, there will be consequences. Only a week? Oh, right, you darn vulture, you'll get your gill, then I'll be rid of you for good. I'm sad to say that such incidents are part of everyday life in Ul'dah. Someone in financial difficulty sees a moneylender as the answer to their woes, like an oasis in the desert, but it's only a mirage, an illusion of salvation, leading them into even greater debt. Then again, many debtors will borrow money without any intention of paying it back, relying on an endless stream of short-term solutions. I hope that those who look upon my art will remember the words of the Sultana and seek to help rather than exploit one another. Those two chaps you saw arguing just now would benefit from it. I'm sure you know, Aston wasn't always like that. He picked me up when I was down, more times than I can count. We both grew up on the streets of Ul'dah with no one to turn to but each other. The only reason I'm here today, making a living as an artist of all things, is because Aston and his talent for business. With a few words and a couple of handshakes, he could turn a gill into a gold mine. But as the years passed, it became an obsession. No matter how much coin he made, it was never enough. I wish he'd realized there's more to life than personal gain, but nothing I say gets through to him. That's part of the reason why I turned to stained glass art in the first place. It can express my inner thoughts far better than words ever could. Well, my words at any rate. Oh goodness, I do apologize. You must think I'm an awful bore to rope you into helping only to bombard you with complaints and sob stories. But enough of that. It's high time I returned to the exhibition and prepared for the arrival of the Minstrel. And with that, we too shall return to the exhibition area. And as you can see, we don't have a portrait there anymore, and we also have somebody playing. A different kind of minstrel. Anyway, so we have a distraught youth here. If we'd known this would happen, we would never have gone near it. And so Tia here. Ah, there you are. I hate to say this, but we've run into a slight problem. And by slight problem, I actually mean rather a huge catastrophe. So huge, in fact, I need a moment to recompose myself. While I'm loath to impose on you any further, I have a feeling I may need your help again, or at least some moral support. And with that, that concludes that quest. And we now see we have a glass from a glass from the past quest. And here, as you can see, we have a wind-up Ardbert, as I mentioned in my video yesterday. And the Sultana's 7 wall-mounted housing item, which you can see also. And the lower I will read in a little while. Tia's heart is not the only thing that is broken. Alright, enough panicking. It's time for decisive action. While we were out distributing flyers, these children were a little overzealous when it came to admiring my artwork. It seems they were unaware of the look but don't touch rule, but normally applies to these things, and, well, it fell on the floor and shattered. Eek! And as you can see, youth is distraught. And so we have the options of saying, this calls for 6 of the best. No, their punishment must be more severe. I suggest staging a play based on the same scene. I'll be Nanamo. Yes, a very tall here is going to be, here is human, is going to be Nanamo a Lalafell. One of those short people. No. So I haven't a clue what this one was, because I went with this one with my main character is. So if you do choose this option, please let me know in the description. Please let me know down in the comments what it actually, what he's going to say, because I'm going to stick with my Nanamo one. Not the first thought that crossed my mind, I must admit. The recital is due to begin any moment now, so the only viable option is to repair the smashed pane as best we can. I think that with a little adhesive there, here and there, the spectators will hardly notice the cracks. Unfortunately, I don't have any any to hand at present. Unfortunately, I don't have any to hand at... I think that's supposed to be on hand. There's a few grammatical errors in this event, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I don't have any on hand at present. While I run off to fetch some bonding agent from the Alchemist's Guild, perhaps you could try piecing the broken glass back together. Don't worry, I'll show you how it's done. And so with that, we speak again with Tia. Are you ready to begin? And then we're getting some instructions, which tells me that there's a little mini-game of some sort. And I already knew this because I've already done this, but anyway. The following controls can be used to repair the stained glass. Default settings, move the cursor left, move cursor right, move right, select piece, place piece is your left mouse button, and the cancel selection is the right mouse button. And it'll, I assume, show you the equivalent controls if you're on the PlayStation. And as you can see, we have a puzzle to put together. So as you can see, we have a piece here, and it will zip back over here if we place it in the wrong place. And as you can see, the orientation of this is slightly that. Once I've clicked on it, it will orient itself correctly. And yes, I have already built this puzzle, so I know kind of where things need to be. So let's see how long it takes me this time. And if you have a stubborn mouse like me, you'll have issues picking these up, because sometimes I accidentally double click, because that's how sensitive my mouse is. It's very annoying sometimes, especially when you need to pick up things like that. Okay, my mouse is being very, very, very frustrating right now. And there we go. And as you could see, there was a give up option underneath there as well. And it was Shattered Memory. And we have the Sultana's image back again. Distraught youth. If we'd known this happened, you're saying the same thing as per usual. Yes, that's perfect. With a few dabs of adhesive, it'll be as good as new. Well, almost. It should certainly suffice for the time being, though. And as you can see, and now we have light. Yay! It is now fixed. Sort of. You can't really tell. All's well that ends well, yes. The children were beside themselves with worry, but now they're as delighted as I am. Hooray! Yay! Oh, just a moment of nostalgia. I know from first-hand experience the moment of horror that comes when breaking an expensive piece of glass. A few years ago, I was helping Aston with one of his ventures as an art dealer. I was in desperate need of gills, so he hired me to transport a few pieces. That was when I dropped a case containing some valuable stained glass, and I'll never forget the awful sound it made. But rather than curse me for my clumsiness or fret over the money it had cost him, his only concern was whether I'd cut myself on any of the shards. So you see, that's why I don't blame the children for their little misadventure. I suppose I'm following Aston's example. Actually, there's one more favor I'd like to ask of you. Huh? I think if Aston were to see my stained glass, it might remind him of the days when there were things more important to him than money. Of course, I've tried various approaches in the past, and most of what I say to him goes in one ear and out of the other. But if it were to come from someone else, such as your good self, he might be more inclined to listen. Would you mind having a word with him? You're too kind. Perhaps you could start by handing him this flyer and going from there. I expect he's the quicksand where he carries out much of his business. His clients tend to be a bit more malleable when they're in their cups, it seems. Anyway, if you would rouse his interest in the festivities, we'll leave the rest to him. Wait, what? Anyway, if you would rouse his interest in the festivities, we'll leave the rest to him. Ah, gotcha. Okay, nope, I understood now. Wait, it's Tia. Sorry. blabbering. I'm sad to say Aston's behavior has become rather easy to predict of late. Since his every waking moment is devoted to making others' coin his own, it's not hard to guess where he'll be at any given moment. If he isn't in the tavern, he's most likely at the market. In this case, he's in the tavern, as the minimap tells me, and the map as well. He is over in this direction. Aston. I remember you. Ben's assistant, yes? Or maybe he's yours. Either way, I appreciate you looking out for him. He needs all the help he can get. Though I must say, if you've something that requires my attention, I'd rather you keep it brief. And we hand him a flyer. Yes, I know all about a Ben's exhibit, thank you. Keeping my ear to the ground as I do, there's little that goes on in Ul'dah that escapes my notice. So why did he send you to advertise it to me? Well, for this reason and that reason. He wants to remind me of the good old days. I might have guessed it would be something as sappy as that. A lot's changed since then, but he's still the same daft sod he's always been. Not that it's necessarily a bad thing, mind you. It's a sentimental side that allows him to create such evocative works of art. But I always felt that if he tried to make a living out of it, he'd lose the very essence of what makes his piece so special in the first place. Rather than expressing himself, he'd have to pander to the tastes of wealthy, by fickle clients to turn a profit. That's why I wanted to earn enough for both of us, so he'd be free to pursue his dreams. While he doesn't need me to pay for his bed and board anymore, I'm still around to help him if he falls on hard times. And just to make it perfectly clear, it's not that I don't want to attend the exhibition. I decided not to go because if people were to think that Bien is associated with a moneylender like me, it would ruin his good reputation. But if he insists that I go, perhaps I can make an appearance without drawing too much attention. Telmo, think about it, would you? And if you speak with Aston again, the dialogue actually amuses me. Just so you know, I'll think about it does not mean the same as yes. I will give it due consideration, though. Can we assume it's a yes anyway? And so obviously now we need to head back and speak with Tia here. And then Tia... So, what did he say? I'll just have to wait and see. Whatever the outcome, I'm very grateful for all you've done, and I'm sure you'll be pleased to hear I've saved you the perfect spot from which to view the event. Citizens of Ul'dah, by my words be transported to the days before the calamity, a time when all hope seemed lost. As a lesser moon hung low in the sky, a wave of terror washed over this fair city, turning neighbor against neighbor, brother against brother. There, in the midst of chaos, she stood defiantly, and so her tale begins. Hearken now to the Sultana's 7. Astonishing! I could see the events of that fateful day in my mind's eye as vividly as I see you now. Such a profoundly moving performance would surely have touched the hearts of everyone in attendance. Aston, you came after all. An artist you may be, but subtle you are not. Now is not the time to take from your neighbor, but to proffer him the hand of succor. A message to all of Ul'dah, I'm sure, but also one meant specifically for me. I have to admit, the Sultana made a good point, and it still stands to this day. Maybe it's time I thought about earning an honest living. I knew you'd come around sooner or later. And Aston, I can take care of myself now, so you needn't go to such lengths to support me. I'm glad to hear it, but let's get one thing straight. I didn't become a moneylender just to cover your expenses while you carved out a career as an artist. I just didn't want you to compromise your ideals and the quality of your work for the sake of keeping a roof over your head. Now you can concentrate on doing what you do best, bringing joy to people through your art. As for me, I should find a better use for my skills. Perhaps I could go back to being an art dealer. That way you can create whatever works you please while I seek out potential buyers? Seek out potential buyers. It certainly beats making commissioned pieces for some pretentious buffoon. You're suggesting we go into business together? Yes, unless you have any objections to working with a very recently reformed moneylender. Of course not, and I know just where to start, producing more paintings featuring the Sultana and her 7 trusty followers. Imagine the streets of the Ulda aligned with stained glass depicting its illustrious... Imagine the streets of Ulda lined with stained glass depicting its illustrious history. The sparkling jewel of the desert will shine brighter than ever. That would actually look really pretty. This is more than I could have dreamed of. Of course, none of this would have been possible without your kindness, Celebrian. I did say there were some grammatical errors there. This is more than I could have dreamed of. Of course, none of this would have been possible without your kindness, Celebrian. You probably hear effusive words of praise quite often in your line of work, but I sincerely mean it. Thank you for all you've done. Oh, and there was one other thing I meant to tell you. The Wandering Minstrel was, wondering if he could have a word with you. In fact, he has a present of sorts to give you. He should be somewhere nearby. Best of luck finding him. Tia. Having trouble tracking down the minstrel, perhaps he's wandering has already taken him to pastures new. Eston. Thanks to you and Bien, I'm ready to turn over a new leaf. Once my debtors have given back what they owe that is, and if they catch me while I'm still in a charitable mood, I might even be prepared to overlook the interest. And if you're wondering where the minstrel is, the map can tell you he is over here, in this direction. And you can see the wandering minstrel here. Ah, you are come as I knew you would. Ben Tia speaks very highly of not only your skill at piecing together broken glass, but of your loyalty and compassion. Your virtues are many and varied indeed. Were it not for your contribution, the festival would have been without its centerpiece. My accompaniment of song was naught but a garnish to the fine dish that was our mutual friend's glorious work of art. Perhaps you will allow me to express my gratitude with another piece I have composed. Without the snarky attitude that I just said it as. Greetings, Warrior of Light. You needn't be alarmed. This is a world that exists outside your reality. Could it be a dream? A flight of fancy conjured by your weary mind? Perhaps, or perhaps not. It's been an honor to be reunited with you in this world between worlds. I have been following your adventures with great interest. Your travels have taken you to lands far and wide, and you have encountered people of all walks of life, each with their own ideals, hopes, and dreams. As time flows onward in a never-ending spiral, the course of history is guided by mortal hands. Though our existence be brief, our deeds echo for eternity. 7 years have passed since the lesser moon descended. 7 years since mankind rose from the ashes. 'Twas a spectacle none shall ever forget, and that they live to tell the tale is cause for both celebration and reflection. When we cast our minds back, it is not sorrow that fills our hearts, but joy, for we have been afforded a second chance that we may learn from the lessons of the past. As we set forth towards new horizons, those with a thirst for adventure will lead the way. While there may be hardships and strife on the road ahead, there is no obstacle that we cannot overcome if we believe in ourselves and each other. Countless kindred spirits share our journey, and it is through mutual respect and understanding that we may create a better world. The future is what we make it, by our words and deeds, and we will forever be at your side, brave adventurer. You have our undying gratitude, now and always. The time has come for this vision to end. Time for your eyes to open from this waking dream. Ever will we be watching over you and your deeds. Guide the realm unto peace and happiness, warrior of light. And before I start saying what the Wandering Minstrel says, I will note that if you've progressed and you've already finished Shadowbringers, there's a little bit of dialogue difference in there, but it's not that different. Naoki Yoshida, who is actually the director and producer of Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn, and then on forward, talking to you with a different title as well that you have. But if you've not progressed that far into the storyline, you don't see that dialogue. So there's no spoilers and all that. Which is why I have that. So if you happen to see this and you've already finished Shadowbringers, that's why there's a difference. Anyways. Wandering Minstrel, and lo, you are returned. Pray tell, are you left with pleasant memories, fleeting though they may be? That is well, for such visions are wont to fade all too quickly, as the morning dew in the light of the rising sun. Mayhap another of my verses would make a suitable gift ere we part. In the wake of calamity, light descended once more, to illuminate a world reborn, risen from fires of war. 'Neath the eyes of heaven, deception crumbles to dust. Those divided by malice, united by bonds of trust. On fields awash in crimson, battle raged far and wide. In the name of liberty, the courageous few turned the tide. Unto a distant realm, drowned in radiance unrelenting, strides forth the harbinger of night, iron will unbending. And as you can see, there are fireworks. Ooh, ah! For the sake of their loved ones, there are those who take to the battlefield, and yet those who remain behind have their roles to play. Protectors in the protected, providers in the provided for. Principles upon which every nation is built. It is the duty of those who rule to ensure that these elements are kept in balance, even if they must face great peril. The words of the Sultana ring as true in the here and now as they did on that fateful day. May each of us take them to heart as we face the new dawn as one. I like this view, it's very pretty. And then we see Square Enix's symbol for Final Fantasy XIV, clearly. And with that, as you can see, Glass from the Past, we have Wind Up Ardbert and the Sultana 7. You have unlocked the Jigsaw puzzle minigame. Open the toy chest in any inn room to try this activity. And you can see we also have a Magnificent 7 achievement there, as per usual. See, ta-da! And if we open up this, as I stare at my back there, Wind Up Ardbert. What he lacks in size, he makes up for in heart in his disproportionately large axe. So we are going to go ahead and summon Ardbert here, if I can find him. Right here. Wind Up Ardbert. This mammoth was created to honor Ardbert, the hero who fought to save the First, and this will not make any sense to you. The First as warrior of light and darkness both. Though he has passed from this world, his spirit lives on in all who ever thought to lend a helping hand to his fellow man, and literally in you. That will make more sense later. I'm not going to explain it now because that would be a spoiler, so there's that. So yeah. Anyway, so if you take a look at Ardbert here, he's a little tiny thing with a very oversized axe. And he's apparently boring because he's just staring. Can he do anything? Oh, there we go. Oh, I guess he just points with his axe anyway. Okay. And we also have the Sultana 7, a faithful recreation of the stained glass artwork that ordained the main stage at Ulda's Rising Festival, the historic moment when Nanamu Ulnamo and her 7 most trusted followers confronted a baying crowd and restored peace to the city, is captured in all its glory. For aesthetic reasons, however, the artist has wisely chosen not to include the angry mob. For obvious reasons, clearly. Alrighty, and so with Ardbert here, we will go make our way over here. And as I mentioned during that cutscene, you will have noticed that Naoki Yoshida, who is, as I said, the producer-director of Final Fantasy XIV, in his Final Fantasy form, we also saw him like that last year, and I'm not sure about previous events, because I simply don't remember. And now that we've actually finished the event, we can actually talk to the vendor, who is right here, and as you can see, is right across from the stage over there. And if we open up this, we will see we have the various fireworky thingies, as per usual, and we also have additional the Sultana 7 wall mounts available to purchase. And I'm going to briefly go over the toy chest area to show off the minigame that we now have access to, because we have completed this quest. So conveniently, there is an innkeep right here. We speak to them, retire to an inn room as you wish, blah blah blah. And we see the toy chest right here. We interact with that, and we can see jigsaw puzzle. And as you can see, bonus chain, correctly placed, blah 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 blah. There's special bonuses, bridge, help features, autoplace, view image, edge pieces only. So I'm not going to do, well, okay, I'm going to start this, but, well, actually I don't need to, I can show you right here. So as you can see, there's like a score and there's also time, so you kind of beat your own record of how quickly you complete this puzzle. And as you can see, view image while in use reduces score obtained by half, and while in use reduces score obtained by half if you want to see the edge pieces only. And then there's the autoplace. If used, the special bonus will not be awarded. And I didn't actually pay attention to what the special bonus was. So, yeah. But anyway, there's that as well. And that is it for this event. Did you like this year's event? Is this your first time doing this event? And if so, did you like this event? Did you like the puzzle portion of this event? And did you like that we can also play it as a minigame with the toy chest in the end? Please leave a comment down below. While you're there, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. If you would like to see more content like this, please also consider subscribing. One final note as a reminder, the Yokai Watch event is also currently going on. For more information about the Yokai event, you can check out one of my videos on this event. There will be a card on screen for you to take a look at them if you would like to. And that's it for this one. Thanks for watching!